Hi guys, welcome to another edition, a very exciting edition of Kamikaze's Creations. It's here, finally. And I say that with all respect to Shane. It's taken a long time to get built, but this is a pretty special supercharger kit. One of a kind, and built specifically for me. Being the last supercharger kit that for the Holden 202 series that Shane has developed, he's put the extra miles in, and there's a lot of things he hasn't charged me for. It's got some pretty extensive upgrades compared to the original advertisement I saw for the full box and dice. He just lucked upon the Yellowterra snout at the last stages, and he's included that basically no cost to me, which is absolutely brilliant. Because of that snout, he's also had to make a few other modifications, making up the different brackets and things to hold that snout on. He's modified the whole drive system and made it to his standards, something that he felt very passionate about. But I got the gist all the way through that he's pretty passionate about this one. I suppose he knew that I was doing a few YouTube videos and it's going to be seen a fair bit out there on social media. But Shane, absolute brilliant. Thank you so much. And I'll start unpacking it and showing you what I've got. So here it is, people, all boxed up. Incredibly safe and secure. I think there's about 35 kilos in there. It was a bit of an effort getting it in and getting it back out of the car. Nicely addressed to Kamikaze Creations. Love it, Shane. Great little touch. So I'm going to start opening this box up, pulling it apart, and setting it out on this table over here that I've nicely tidied up, ready to identify all the parts. So down in the box, heaps and heaps of little bits and pieces. I need to start pulling that out and having a bit of a look at it. So it was like the gift that never ends, the little Christmas box that never seems to be empty. There's so many bits and pieces in here, but that is the best bit of all. How good does that supercharger look? And that snout on the front of it, the billet brackets that Shane's made up, down to the fuel rail, the little vacuum inlets, and the throttle body. How good is that? Absolutely stoked and feel incredibly blessed to have this item, and that's the best part of this item. Barnett Performance Engineering logo sitting on the front of that manifold. It's going to be my pride and joy for many, many years in this car. It makes the UC not just a UC Torana, not just a Torana, but a Barnett Performance Engineering piece of work. So guys, here it's been like Christmas here. Shane originally said I'd have a Christmas present, and I think I'm having Christmas all over again, getting this early in the new year, but looks outstanding. It's one to see it all online and then an image. It's another to have it sitting in my shed. So here's the brain to the beast. This is the EM80 ECU. It's again an upgrade from what I originally bought. I think I bought the EM70 with the kit. I think these guys are gone into new ventures now, and it's one of the reasons Shane upgraded to the EM80, because they had it in stock. Here's my ignition system. Now that's a little bit more advanced than the original old Holden 202-173 straight 6 type of ignition. I've got a coil to plug set up. This is going to be boosting out a fair bit of spark. I don't think I am going to be lacking at all there. Here's the main tensioner to go onto the drive pulley, or the drive belt. Again, everything is just beautiful, just beautifully engineered. Loving that. There's my spark generating wheel. The main pulley that I need to bolt down onto my harmonic balancer, and I'd say that's the sensor. So that just bolts straight onto the harmonic balancer, and that's the reason I needed that 50 to 55 mil clearance, and that's the sensor to generate a pulse to send the spark. So these are some of the first parts that are going to need to go on. This is a bracket to hold the snout, the front end of the supercharger, which will go on, I think I showed you originally. We'll go over here and have a bit of a look. It's going to go on down where the water pump sits and come up and mount there to give a bit of support to that snout. And then onto that I will mount the lower thermostat housing. And it's got a temperature sensor that's been mounted inside it, which will go, one of the sensors to go to the ECU. And this little doohickey here is basically support for that supercharger. To hold it up a little bit, take a little bit of the weight off the main bolts. Also, to fuel this beast is the fuel system. Now, how good does that look? So I'm pretty sure I said in one video it was a couple of 044 pumps, but I remember Shane saying it was a Carter pump, and I'm pretty sure that's a 044 Bosch style pump. It's got a changeable and removable filter there, but that is the goods. So that'll be in the boot, making the boot look a bit techo, and supplied with that the fuel line to push the fuel up to the front of the car. And again, I'm going to have to be running a return line, and Shane suggested that I can use the original fuel line, the steel fuel line in the car, as my return line to take the fuel back to the tank in the back of the car. And then lastly, but very, very much more than leastly, is the wiring harness. Now, I haven't pulled that out of the bag yet to have a look, but that'll plug straight into my ECU, and Shane's got it labelled up for me so that I can work out how to wire it up, because I'm definitely no electrical engineer, but I can join dots. So I think I should be okay with that. Looking good. I love it. the thing you're all interested in, I'm sure, is that beast. You know, originally I bought this because I wanted an under bonnet system. I didn't want anything outside the bonnet, and that's definitely doing the job. I was a bit concerned. We did very early days. I took some measurements and talked to Shane about it, and he said I'd have heaps of room, and having it sit in there, I think it's actually lower than sitting with the carby and that Ramflow air filter on it. But that's starting to look the goods. The one thing I did find, I've just trial sat this on here at the moment, it's not bolted down, but I've just got to get my extractor faces and to the same thickness basically as the new manifold. The extractors actually have a welded bit of square bar on them that's making them a little bit wide, so I'll just had a bit of a trial assembly and a look at it, and I'll pull them back off in a minute and adjust all of those faces so that they are even. And Shane, being the man that he is, not leaving anything to second, guess it, here's some packers that'll the bolts will go through to pull between the extractor face and the manifold face. So I might have to get some little bit longer bolts, and I think I want to run some new bolts anyway. But there it is, guys. This is the full box and dice. No more to be made, sadly. It's a great name, great marketing name and tool, but Shane's decided to move on to new things. The box is now empty, and the engine bay is full. Loving it. So over the next few days I've got a fair bit of work to do with getting this all set up. First thing is mainly getting that supercharger sitting in there nice and solid, and getting the manifold faces all locked up nice and tight so I've got no leaks there, and getting that thermostat housing on. So that's the mission initially. So watch this space. There you go, guys. Bit of a look through and an initial look at that beast. Oh, gotta love that. Guys, if you haven't subscribed and you're seeing my videos, there's going to be some good stuff coming out with this car, with this setup. Getting the engine running and its first run, seeing it on the road. It's going to be putting out a few horses at the back wheels. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you keep up to date with what I'm doing, because it's all about forced induction in Kamikaze Garage with that 1G motor and the single turbo that I'm building for the Celica, and with this supercharged 173 Holden motor in the old GMH Tirana. Can't wait to have this going. Keep watching, guys. See you later.